Backyard Wrestling fans, welcome to another episode of SmackYard Radio, sponsored by Backyard Wrestling, the home of some of the best backyard wrestling in today's generation, and sponsored by Sports Wire Radio, where you can listen now via the Listen Now button on sportswireradio.org. And not only are we here live on YouTube with the video feed, we are also live on Spotify. So if you want a little easier way to listen to this podcast as you guys do your day-to-day basis stuff, definitely follow us on Spotify and give us a listen on Spotify and YouTube. But in today's episode, we got a very interesting man, a man who we've had issues in the past, so this is a little groundbreaking moment here because we've made amends and we're all good now. One of the top stars, along with myself in backyard wrestling, we got Mr. Aaron Blaze. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, Anthony. Thanks for having me. Are we really live right now? I thought this was like a pre-recording.
It's just marketing. Just marketing.
Oh. All right, fair enough. So I was gonna say you said that
I'm not like Sports Wire
quick.
where I'm live. So if I fuck up, I can just restart and I can just act like nothing ever happened.
Touche.
But shit, this is our first podcast in a while, and this is actually one of the first times in a while that we've actually sat on call one-on-one and actually talked. Shit, the last time we did a podcast was Bashing with Blaze, your old podcast.
Yeah, one of the worst creations of myself. That is one of the very few bad ideas I've had that apparently people loved that I allowed to air. And people have been asking for it recently ever so often, but I don't know.
Shit, you fucking did a couple episodes, took a break, and then you had me, and then after me, it's just your fucking podcast. I fucking killed your whole podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I did a episode with like Bryce Van Pelt. I think we pre-recorded it, and then I just lost the footage because I was trying to do like 2 per day. And I remember doing one with a Striker too from ETW, and I ended up falling asleep on call with him.
Way.
Yeah, because we. So how I would do it is, we would call on like my computer or something through like Gmail or something else, and I would record with my backup phone. I just take the audio track, put it over a shitty like thumbnail, and just boop. But yeah, after I did his Bashing with Blaze episode. And I don't even remember when it happened. Like, I fell asleep because of the time zones and shit. And then I wake up and I'm just like, I text him immediately and I'm like, did I really just fucking fall asleep? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like,
ouch.
No.
Ouch. Let's be honest. Did he bore you with his stories?
No, he didn't bore me.
It's okay. It's okay. We can talk about it live here.
No, I don't remember, like, because I know I hope we finished it. I mean, it's one of the things that just didn't air, obviously, but you'd have to ask him if he remembered. I don't even remember falling asleep. Like, I don't remember it, and that happens all the time.
Shit, no. I mean, we need more of these podcasts, and like, shout out to Sports Wire, because like, backyard wrestling.
We love Tom here.
Yeah, like backyard wrestling is like such a very like passionate and interesting form of entertainment. Like, like in some cases, like we're backyard wrestlers who like, this is like our end destination, like, and we're not going pro, we're here or whatever, and we give it our all. We all work hard. That's why we need these podcasts. That's why I've started like fucking like 5 of these things. I had fucking the FBW Undisputable podcast, I had fucking Shooting with the Saint, I had Short-Lived Razor Talk, and now I'm here on fucking SmackYard Radio, because like we need people to tell their stories.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and now I'm like the only podcast going now besides Sports Wire. Like shit.
Sports Wire.
Yeah, like the Nemesis Sessions, that's gone. Fucking who else had a podcast?
I think Comatose has one.
Oh yeah, he's going on. He got fucking Matsuda on. Matsuda, he was supposed to be on my fucking podcast, but he fucking traitored over there.
Damn.
But so we have you on. So I like to take this podcast, start off with way back in the beginning. So how did you get into professional wrestling as a fan?
Growing up with my mom and growing up with my grandfather, more so my grandparents. I ended up just living with them for a high majority of my life. and my mom was in and out. Dad wasn't around, but I grew up watching professional wrestling, so mainly just WWE. And then I got so into it, I ended up getting all these toy belts, an encyclopedia, memorizing almost everything under the sun. I remember like getting like WWE magazines, and I had a bunch of action figures, and for the belts I wouldn't have, I would cut out the belts in the magazines and just use those.
Oh man.
Um, yeah, DVDs, like, and I had a bunch of like stuffed animals, and I would wrestle them for like belts and woohoo, putting the big teddy bear over. Didn't film any of it, obviously, because it never crossed my mind what other people were doing in regards to wrestling until much, much later, until I was like 11. I wish I knew half the shit I knew now, because I'd be one hell of a young prodigy, more than I already am, and probably be making a shit ton of money, but that's a whole different conversation. Um, but yeah, I would watch Raw and SmackDown with a ridiculous, stupid bedtime, and we would go to Champs, which is, I think there's still one in State College. I haven't been there in a minute, but I would go there more so with my mom and whatever dude she was dating of the week. We
Ouch.
would go and watch a paper. Yeah, I'm not on good terms with her, which we can talk about that later. Uh, but yeah, we would go to Champs and we would watch a pay-per-view, and get good food. Um, I forget what this one dish was called, but it had like shrimp and there was soup in it and all this other shit, and it was so good. I would get wings and fries from there. Like, it was, Champs is great. I wish we still did that. Um, but we got network and then transitioned to Peacock, whatever.
Oh my god,
Uh,
my shit. I remember it was like Night of Champions 2010. It landed on my birthday, and I asked my
what?
parents. I'm like, all I wanted is just to order the pay per view, and they said no.
Damn,
That's where my
I'm sorry.
villain arc started.
Well, well, now you can watch it for free on YouTube, probably at this rate.
Yeah, it was fucking
But
Night of Champions 2010. I don't even think the card was
yeah,
like that crazy, but shit, I was
yeah.
fucking nine.
Orton won the title in a 6 pack with
Yeah,
Cena,
and that was like when
Jericho,
Daniel Bryan
Sheamus,
won the
and
U.S. title.
Bryan won US. I don't remember the world heavyweight title.
Probably like Sheamus or some wild shit.
No, Sheamus was the WWE champion and he
Oh
dropped it to
yeah,
Orton.
who the fuck? No, it was Kane versus fucking the Undertaker
Oh,
in that like short
yeah.
little like final feud when Kane was like the world
Oh,
champ.
yeah. And then that's when, yeah, Nexus was still a thing and all that other stuff. But yeah, I remember all that. Um, well, I remember going to Champs the one time to watch SummerSlam 2014 when Cena got wrecked by Brock. Dude, I was crying. Like, and my mom would pick on me for it like almost all the time and all this other shit. But like, yeah, so I just loved wrestling for the stories, for like the pyrotechnics and all that other stuff. Like, it just grabbed my attention. I've always just been invested in it. And then we hop, skip, and jump to 2017, which is actually when YBW was born. And I don't talk about this often, but it was born, but we just didn't film it on YouTube. I don't count it or anything, and it wasn't really a company. It was just me, one of my cousins at the time, because my mom married their uncle, and that went so well. Um, again, pew, 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 pew. um, but yeah, we would wrestle and shit, play video games, all that, and then it came to my mind like I wanted to make a wrestling show in 2018, so that's when I actually did it.
Were you a fan of like backyard wrestling like growing up, or like you didn't really?
Yes, I.
So what
It
was your
was
introduction to backyard wrestling?
CHW, ESW, KBW. And this was before I knew. I think this was right before EBW's channel got deleted, and I still didn't know who they were until like late 2018. So all the other companies, like the mainstays, quote unquote, So EBW, NEBW, fucking DBW, VTW. I didn't know all those other places until late 2018. And I was just instantly hooked on backyard wrestling. It was mainly CHW. Um, I would go to my Graham's house, which is who I'm with now. I would go to her old house down in State College for the weekend, and then I would go to church and then come home. I would watch backyard wrestling on her computer in my spare time, get Pizza Hut delivered to my house. That's why I'm so sick of it now. And I would just watch CHW. Swade Savard was my favorite. He's a big inspiration. Um, and then you got Cage, you got Alex G, you got all these
Yep.
other fucking people.
Goats. Absolute goats.
Yeah, well, some of them not so much now.
You believe in the whole Alex G, Austin G shit?
well, not even that, but the dude practically told me to go jump off a bridge, and that I'm a zero to him, and it's on YouTube and Instagram. So,
Oh yeah, he
he,
mentioned you during the little shoot lives, but I'm pretty sure all that shit. Like, I mean, now like knowing that they have like the whole ICW like story shit.
he I haven't talked to him since then. I've texted Blake Pierce a couple times.
You texted Alex G privately after that.
Oh no, I did. Oh, I didn't. I was way too fucking pissed. I thought it was real. Stupid me. I thought it was
I
the
mean,
one
shit.
thing
I
that
mean,
was.
props to them. I mean, it really did seem like legit
Yeah,
until like they're like, okay, we're gonna have a match. It's like, okay,
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like,
And
okay,
then
now
I'm
it's a
just
work.
like,
And then now look at it now. They have fucking ICW involved
for the
and
third time. Oh no, I broke my rubber band.
shit.
But
ESW for me, that was like my backyard wrestling, like what I grew up on, you know?
oh yeah,
Because like they didn't have a trampoline, they didn't have a ring. So I was like, fuck, I ain't got either or. So I was like, if they're doing it, why can't I do it?
yeah.
You know?
And then later they did get. Well, no, earlier on they did have trampolines, and I'm a big ESW nerd.
Yeah, but
Um,
like
yeah,
when they were like in
I
their
see what
like
you mean. Like
prime, like
2012.
yeah, like they were just
Yeah.
on the ground. They did, like after like I don't know, like 2009, they really just said fuck the trampoline and did everything on the ground. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean,
No, I see
shit.
what you mean. That's
But
fair.
like
That's
it's
fair.
either CHW, ESW, or like KBW. That's like the three major feds that like get people, into backyard wrestling. At
Yeah,
least
that set the bar. Yeah, no, I agree.
now I don't really know. Like I don't really have a fed who like I don't know because like I mean I don't fucking I'm not no creep and talk to fucking children, so I don't know who like a fed that like ESW, CHW, KBW. I don't know who's that now to like the younger kids.
Damn, already throwing that one out.
I mean I don't. I mean I talk to
it's,
my
all,
kids,
it's
but my
only
kids don't
six
like backyard
minutes in,
wrestling,
damn
so
it. It's only in six. We're only in 6
you know
minutes.
what? Let me go ask XCW. I think they should know.
Damn, and people would think I would be slinging those shots, but
But no,
yeah,
like I mean, like, but on like a real note,
I'm waiting. I'm waiting to talk about it. I'm waiting to talk about
but
it.
no, like it's wild to think like who like in our generation of back
It's
like who
like
is that to
similar.
younger,
Yeah,
but it's wild
yeah.
because like and no Fed currently is on like the level of like ESW or like CHW was, but like that was like in the dying days of like mainstream backyard wrestling.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So when did you
And now
get?
we're in a different dying stage in a sense.
I
I
mean,
figure.
backyard wrestling, it's the state of backyard wrestling is so like complex because like we don't have the hype of like mainstream like we once had like in the early 2000s, late 90s, but like we're going through like a little renaissance where like people are just buying rings and like making like borderline indie feds, but like the purebred like form of backyard wrestling is not as like popular, like trampoline wrestling, ground wrestling. It's not as
Oh yeah,
popular.
yeah, and that's a whole other thing where it's just like I feel like, and sorry if this is throwing shade. I'm not trying to do that yet. I really feel like there's just a couple people out there that either get a trampoline or a ring and just say fuck it, and then they get whatever clicks they get, whatever views they get, and they think that they're at this peak. Like, for example, and I'm not trying to be a dick when I say it. There's a show not too far from me that I have considered working with called BCW, Ben Salem Championship Wrestling. There's a couple of reasons I haven't gone down there. One, booking. If you're, and we can tie this into a later conversation. If you're going to book someone like me, not trying to say that I'm Jesus Christ, but I think any backyard wrestler that is traveling the miles that I've traveled, above it or close to, should be accommodated in a couple different areas. I'm not saying you got to roll me out a red carpet, but that doesn't mean I need to carry your trash bag and throw it in the dumpster for you to get your chores done. I don't like that they call themselves pro. They say BCW pro. You are not a pro, and this applies to everybody. You are not a pro unless you go out and you get trained by somebody with proper credentials, who actually knows what they're doing, has a following, has a platform, has real experience. You are not a pro. So all these kids that are close to my age and probably younger who say they're pro, they need to reevaluate their situation there. Because I think it's a slap to the face to people that are pro, and I believe it's why backyard wrestling has received such a decline and gets a bad rep from a professional standpoint or an indie standpoint,
I mean,
because
shit. I mean, there's a
it's
whole.
mockery. It's a mockery
I mean,
if
there's
you
a whole
think
list
about it.
of why backyard wrestling is so like
Oh yeah, but
frowned
I feel like
upon.
that's like one of the top, like that's top three. That's not even top five. That's top three, and it'll probably take second spot if I'm being
I
honest.
mean, shit. Like our whole fan base is like diluted by like pedophiles and creeps trying to like, you know. See, and like that's why I
Yeah.
don't believe in true star power in backyard wrestling. Because I mean, I don't know if you get off to views from fucking pedos. I mean, you know, it's 2025. I'm not judging or anything.
Well, and that's another thing. That's another thing. I believe that telling a story that gets people to feel for something is more important than not only belts but views. Everything I do and everything I've ever done, whether I've succeeded or failed, there's been a story tied to every decision I make. Like I am a money guy, right? Like, I believe in the value of a dollar. I believe in business. I believe in helping people where they can help me, give and take 50-50. I believe in those things, not even just with what I represent, but in my day to day life as Eamon Schilling. I believe in that. So, for someone to come along and just think that it's like a one sided thing to where they can receive, 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 and not give anything is bullshit.
Yeah,
I don't like the people that just show up and, yeah, good for you. You're winning a belt. Maybe you're undefeated. You've gone through a bunch of people that realistically could kick your ass any damn day of the week. But what story are you telling? Well, what story are you telling? See, that's I'll relay the other guy. I'm not gonna say his name because we're not gonna bring him up. I've had his shit sent to me. Don't even get me started on how bad it is. He's told no story with that participation trophy that's now dead. He's told no story. Like, good for you. You can get a couple clicks. Good for
yeah. You
you.
know,
You beat all these other people. But look at my
yeah.
run in UWA. Granted, things ended bad. I'm not going to say for 1 second it didn't. But look at my Heritage title run as opposed to his run with the participation trophy. Everything I did was story driven. Every single solitary thing. So I would much rather have that, even though it ended bad, like his, I would much rather have that be my legacy as opposed to just a couple clicks with no substance.
You know, people that I realized in backyard wrestling, and you know, with the backyard wrestling nexus, I talk to a lot of people. I meet a lot of people in the backyard wrestling community. A lot of people, for some reason, get so hung up about titles and wins. I don't understand it. Like I remember, Sam Reeves. Uh, love him to death, but like, I don't really know if he was like for real or not. But like, he had a problem with saying "I quit" in our "I quit" match. Some people really have like it's all fake, motherfucker. I said I quit to my own wife in a wrestling match. I don't give a fuck. No shame, but like so many people in this community fucking die on hills over titles and wins. Motherfucker, I don't get it. I don't get it. Shit, I've lost
Yeah.
10 matches of 12 in 2020. And look at me now. I'm still vibing. Like, granted, like, I'm the Booker man. But, it's not some
Right.
fucking form of, like, what do you call it? Pity gaining. But, like,
Right.
shit.
Absolutely.
I don't
Yeah,
get it.
I understand it from like a traveler's perspective because I am one. But if you were just some who's who Joe Schmo guy, then no offense, your opinion doesn't hold that much weight because you haven't added much to the community. I could see it if you're D'Angelo Flame, Aaron Blaze, Jack Delta, people that have really gone out there to elevate other people, use their platform, put their bodies on the line through planes, greyhounds, whatever. But if you're just some guy who took like a, I don't know, like a 10-minute Uber to so and so's house, the grass is green where you water it. Sure, but at the same time, if you haven't really done anything of substance or really been around consistently enough, then no offense, you don't hold that much weight.
You know,
It's what you can provide.
I
And
think
if you're not
people,
providing anything, what who cares?
I think people in backyard wrestling, and this is something I preach and I, practice in FBW is just respect. Respect everybody.
Absolutely.
Respect everybody's hustle, treat everybody, kind and with respect. Everybody goes through shit,
Oh
everybody
yeah.
works hard to get where they are, you know, and I think everybody, like, backyard wrestling was created on the foundation of love of wrestling and fun. And I
Mhm.
think that our generation now that we're in is the generation that honestly, like, I love backyard wrestling. I love all the bonds and the people that I've met. But, like, I think now this generation of backyard wrestling is the generation that sucked the fun out of it, you know?
Well, you've also got to take a look at the state of the world. We are in a society nowadays where
They're so fucking
entitlement is,
sensitive. They're so
oh,
fucking
oh yeah,
sensitive.
we're sensitive, we're entitled, we believe that fucking $100 bills are just gonna rain from the sky through a fucking storm. Like, and I had this conversation with my therapist not too long ago at the time this is being recorded, that we are living in a world filled with delusion, and a lot of it is contributed, well, not contributed, but what contributes to that, I should say, is how we're raising our children and telling them what is and isn't okay. And then there's the absent parents that don't even teach a man how to be a man or a woman how to be a woman. And we have all this other shit. I'm probably gonna get canceled for what I really want to say, so I'm not gonna say it.
Oh, yeah,
But you
please.
you
This
get
is
what
my
I'm saying.
fucking fifth
Well,
podcast. I don't want to restart again.
right? No, no. But I'm saying, like, clearly we live in the world where the status quo and original norms of any field is a bad thing and cancelable. And I feel like, not that I consider myself that religious. I'm not. Even though I'm wearing a cross on my shirt. But we are taking I think we're taking everyone away from God because at the end of the day, we are a godless nation. And it is more offensive, and I'll give you an example of why we've kind of lost our way in a sense. So many people have laid their lives on the line for our country to be allegedly free. Yet it is more offensive to burn a pride flag as opposed to a flag of the United States of America. We are leading people away from God and how our children are being raised, especially my generation and the generation that's slowly following. We are giving them access to technology when we shouldn't. We're not teaching them anything of value in school that can benefit them in later life. We're taking them away from what makes society function. That's part of the problem. It's not even just backyard wrestling and people having egos. Entitlement
I mean, the issues
is a
obviously
negative
they
paradigm in its
stem
own
from
realm.
outside of backyard wrestling.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And if we're going to go the route of if it's just strictly wrestling, let's leave everything out of the real world, right? Even though it's a simulation, but Then again, that's just my
Jesus
thoughts.
Christ, we're turning this into a fucking conspiracy theory
Oh
podcast.
yeah, buddy, I'm firing off of my therapy session. Um, where was I going with this? But if we put strictly wrestling in the center of it, there are some people that can do things in between the ropes more than others, talk better more than others, and I understand where that entitlement comes from. Well, if I can outwork this person this way and outwork that person that way, and if I'm doing a better job and if I'm drawing more, what the hell do I need these people for? Why aren't I at this higher top tier mountain of success? Why am I sidelined? Why am I blah 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 blah? But it's the people that let a couple of clicks get to their head and think that they're the shit when they haven't done shit.
Well, egos definitely really I preach this all the time. Egos is, a cancer to backyard wrestling. I think egos ruined honestly the fun of backyard wrestling. Cause, sure everybody has an ego to some extent. Cause
Right.
I work hard, you work hard. I feel that what I've done is validated. You feel what you've done is validated. Everybody's
Absolutely.
story is different, like we're all the heroes in our own stories. But there's ways of exercising those egos. There's, common
Right.
decency. There's common respect. There's just minding your own business.
And that's what we're lacking
Yeah.
is finding a common ground because I really believe that as some promoters, some promotions found a common ground with certain people's needs and really sat down and had a conversation like, listen, I would love to do this for you. These are a couple things I would like. Here are a couple things I would need. I am more than willing to help you with XYZ as long as you help me with ABC. And I feel like a lot of people just take in somebody with a name and a platform and they drain the life out of them for their own personal gain, whether it's to make themselves look good or one of their buddies look good. That's one thing I don't like about backyard wrestling is this whole good old boys club, this whole buddy system, this whole let me just give everything to my best friend and disregard what this person's doing, how they're working their ass off, how they've probably done more, but it doesn't mean more. And I think that's a big fucking issue.
And that stems to there's just like there's children running backyard wrestling feds. And I mean, I'm not
Yeah,
going to sit here and claim like I'm some fucking Booker of the Year, fucking Triple H
right.
fucking Junior. Because I'm not going to lie, in the beginning of, because, in the beginning of FBW, I was that one who gave me the FBW title, Fucking shit, I was the first FBW champ from 2012 to fucking 2015. But I was a kid
What?
back then. Now, motherfucker, I haven't even touched a goddamn undisputed title since
Right.
2022. And my final run as the undisputed champion was a fucking transitional title run. I held it for fucking 1 month, lost it in my first title defense to Chris Dynamite. That was my last fucking FBW undisputed title run.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
there's a difference between what you want to do and what you've got to do for your company. That's one thing. But when you have the people that are willing and wanting to make the sacrifices to improve the show, tell the stories, et cetera, what's the excuse?
shit, I'm like fucking extra selfless because, like, shit, like during the whole Messiah of the Yard, which, I personally think that the Messiah of the Yard slash like the Saint, whatever. That's some of my best character work in my whole entire career. Besides what I'm starting with the Razor Rage, just because like the Razor Rage it just started. I can't say
Yeah.
it's great because it's still evolving. But like
Yeah,
the
self process.
Messiah, I was busting my ass. Like I was doing so much. Like I played the fucking part. I was really putting myself out there. But I didn't give myself the world title. Should I
Yeah.
have given myself the world title? Maybe for my work. But the whole point, is like, I'm not trying to be selfish, I gave the title to Chris. I gave the title to my wife at the time. Shit, I actively now, I try to avoid holding the undisputed title out of, I wouldn't say fear of, well, if I put myself as champ, what is the community going to think? They're going to think there's some fucking mark or some shit. But you really, to book a show, you have to be fucking selfless. You have to know when it's your time opposed to
Someone else's.
exactly. And that is something that I mean, it's hard because, like we've been talking, everybody has egos. A lot of people have egos. They don't know how to exercise it right, and most of the time, it's just fucking children who don't understand that. Now, for me, I mean, it took a while. It took me a couple years to learn, like, hey, like I got to give my other guys some of the juice, and then it ultimately stemmed to maybe I fucking shoved myself outside of the spotlight a little too much because, like I said, like the Messiah, I should have could have been the world champ, but I said no. I was like I'm
Yeah.
now currently fucking spoiler alert, there's no plans for me to ever win the fucking undisputed title again. But like really, people just in back wrestling they need to learn how to exercise egos, because like you know we have people wrestle in rings, we have people wrestle on trampolines, and that was a whole debate that we can talk about if you want, because I mean really it
Right.
wasn't about. And I keep fucking preaching this because there are still some motherfuckers who fucking still are taking it the wrong way. It wasn't about and never was about ring versus trampoline. It was about respecting everybody's hustle, respecting everybody's story, respecting everybody. Because, regardless of, like you've wrestled in the ring. I haven't wrestled in the ring. I wrestled on
Yeah.
the ground, I wrestled on a trampoline, but I still bust my ass. Just because
Yeah.
I haven't been to a ring doesn't mean I don't work hard or work harder than you know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And yeah, what is your thoughts about that real quick? Because, I've heard many opinions about that from, CJ Black, James Taylor. What is your thoughts about the whole controversy that came from
Yeah.
the ring
Let
versus
me.
trampoline?
This is me being blunt, and you can blur this out when you go back and edit it. Um, I don't give a fuck. None. Like I really don't. First of all, not everyone is in the same financial situation. Let's just call a spade here. Not everybody can afford a ring, and if you can, good for you. But not everybody has that luxury. Um, so I don't think you should knock them for that. And I'd argue, because this was me until I started stepping in a ring consistently. I'd argue that the people that do shit in the trampoline and on the ground that don't have a ring, that don't really have access to it on a regular basis, work harder to prove themselves to people that do wrestle in rings consistently. Because, and I don't look this way upon anybody, but I think other people who are in rings look down on trampoliners and tarp guys because, and I'm probably going to sound like a hypocrite when I'm putting this out there. I just think that they look down upon them and don't really take them seriously because they haven't had that experience.
I mean, from like I said, never wrestled in a ring, but I've wrestled on the ground. I've wrestled in a trampoline. It takes a lot to wrestle on a trampoline. I'm not gonna lie, because like
Oh yeah.
bouncing around on that fucking shit
Oh, it
really, because you
sucks.
you got to work harder to keep your endurance up because you're more mobile. Fucking not saying that trampoline's worse in a ring, but like you still run the
Right now.
risks. You still run the risks of whiplash. You ever had whiplash? That fucking sucks. I told the story on the James Taylor episode. I was out for fucking 2 months, fucking put on anti-inflammatories, muscle relaxers, fucking. I probably was concussed too, but like that fucking sucked. Whiplash sucks, and whether you land on your neck wrong on a trampoline, it still sucks. I got fucking chronic neck pain for the rest of my fucking life because I fucking wrestled on the ground for fucking like 12 fucking years. And taking those like bumps, like when I took DDTs, I would roll through with it because I was like,
Oh,
fuck
I
man.
always roll through with it.
Yeah, I was like, fuck man, I fucking landed on the top of my head, fucking oh my god, look, I'm fucking murked. Regret doing that, and it fucked up my neck. Now I got fucking chronic neck pain for fucking years now. You know,
God love it.
I on this note that we've talking about, what is your worst bump on the ground, and what is your worst bump on the trampoline?
Okay. Worst bump on the ground. Does tarps count?
Well, I mean, you're on the ground. I mean, regardless if you covered the
Okay.
ground or
So worst trampoline bump.
I know
It's
you're new
hard.
to the tramp. I mean, you've wrestled on a
I,
trampoline.
I'm ki- yeah, I'm kind of new to it. I'm kind of new to it. I guess recently when I had my match with Magnum Carter and I went for a frog splash and I almost died. Um,
He said I almost died.
yeah, I've almost died a couple times doing backyard wrestling. And if you think I'm bullshitting, here's the bump on the ground. This match never aired because he's a piece of shit and he's an idiot. But Dustin X, ATK's brother, we were originally filming for the return of YBW in 2022. At the time, I had a girlfriend; she was there, and we had a trampoline there, but it was an apartment complex. And you weren't allowed to have a trampoline, so people came over, told us to take it down. We only had time to film 3 matches, so we filmed Rebirth Part 1, which was Monstruck versus Blaze, ATK versus Echo, and then another match we did, which was, I think, for the 800 subscriber special originally, was supposed to be me in an open challenge, and Dustin were to came back. We're at the end of the match. He picks me up in a fireman's carry to hit an F5. The dumb, and I'm sorry, you're gonna have to cut this out. The dumb fuck takes me on his shoulders, dumps me forward on my fucking head.
Ouch.
And I'm like, and I feel like I'm CM Punk and he's Ryback. Like, it was literally like, you either tell me right now you're dumb as fuck
Yeah.
and you suck. But dude, how do you do an F5 and you drench him on his head? And then when I'm talking it out with him, he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't turn you over for it." I'm like, motherfucker, we just did a spot 5 minutes beforehand where you twisted me, I landed on my feet, hit you with a black mass and a curb stomp, and you kicked out. How the fuck do you spike me on my
Dude,
fucking head in front of my girl?
that
You're
reminds
an
me,
idiot.
holy shit. So I was wrestling
Oh my god,
Colin the
I was so
Beast.
mad.
Bro, I was wrestling Colin the Beast. It was Fight Night 2019. And I remember it was like maybe like towards the middle of the match. I was like, "Hey, yo, I called for a DDT spot. This motherfucker fucking yanks me up. Motherfucking suplex me and just fucking dropped me, dude. That shit
Oh,
took the fucking wind out of me. After the fucking match, I was like, bro, what the fuck, dude? That was his retirement match, too. That was his last match. He fucking left after that. I was like, how the fuck do you fuck up a goddamn DDT, brother? That is the fucking first move I teach all of my fuckers, like back in the day. Because, like, you know, like Calling the
oh
Beast,
my
like I trained them. It's the first fucking move that I used to fucking train these motherfuckers with. Motherfuckers suplex me. Motherfucker! During that time, we didn't have a fucking trampoline or nothing. Motherfucker, we were
oh,
on the ground. We have never fucking done some dumb, wild shit like that. That is the first fucking suplex in FBW history. And that motherfucker wrestled from 2014 to 2019, brother. Never seen a suplex. What the fuck was he thinking? I don't know. I don't know. Shit hurt too.
oh my god,
Motherfucker.
you poor soul.
And that
That's
wasn't even the
stupid.
worst bump, honestly. Or maybe the
Oh,
worst bump. The worst spot that I've ever done was I fucking around with sand spurs. I almost took fucking sand spurs to the face. You know what a sand spur is? It's like a little fucking little spiky ball that grows in like your weeds. It's like a fucking little ball of just thorns. They just grow. Yeah, and I took a bat shot. Uh, it was me versus Eric Danger. It was 2017. It was the reunion show. It was a death match, and I was like, "Fuck, well, it's a death match. You know, we don't have access to light tubes or anything, barbed wire." So I was like, "Fuck, we got these sand spurs. You know, fuck it. Let's just wrap them around the bat." I remember I had Chris Dynamite. I had him go outside up at his house, have a little fucking tubware of just sand spurs, and then fucking I was taping him on the bat, and I was like, "Fuck, this is gonna suck." But I was doing it. I was like, "Okay, Eric, hit me
that's
once."
commitment.
I was like, fuck, hit me once. I was like, this shit's gonna suck, but I can take one. I can take it just once. That's all, because fuck, dude. Once I can get through one, and then, that's it. You know how
And
many
then that's
fucking
it.
times this
That's it.
motherfucker hit me with the goddamn bat? 3 fucking times. And on top of that, This motherfucker was going for more, and Chris, he was on the fucking camera, and he knew. He's like, okay, dude, Eric's fucking up, because Chris even knew that it was supposed to be a one and done. So when he saw after the third fucking time, which goddamn, why the fuck did he allow the 2 other extra shots? I don't know. Because after the third one, when he went to go for a fucking fourth, Chris literally pushed him. He was like, okay, and called the fucking spot off. You literally on camera you can see Chris like,
nudging him.
Yeah, he's like, okay. Dude, I was fucking pissed, dude. I was like, 3?
I'd be too.
Dude, and like the thing about like the sand spurs, they're not like a tack where like they just slip right out. Like, they can break and then you got a fucking splinter. So afterwards, I was covered in it, dude, and I had so many fucking splinters. And then the next year, Chris was like, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna do sand spurs. So he fell off a ladder through a table of sand spurs. That sucked. His mom pulled out all the fucking sand spurs, and that shit was funny. I have the footage of like us removing the sand spurs for that.
Oh god.
And then it was me versus my wife. It was Battle Yard 2022 or 2021. It was a last man standing match. Dumb fucking idea. Real dumb fucking idea. Luckily she shot it down, which dumb fucking idea. Let's just dumb fucking idea. So
with more sand spurs, I bet.
Yeah. So it was. This was my first match as the Messiah. It was a last man standing match. For some reason, like during the beginning, I was kind of like, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. I made this like fucking cross thing, and I was like, fuck. I was like, what if I cover that in sand spurs and you whack me across the face with it? Dumb fucking idea. But she denied. She's like,
that's a good idea. Just wrong weapon.
Yeah, across the fucking face. I was like, maybe get my cheek or something, or like my forehead, so you don't fucking poke my out. But I was like, just fucking whack me across the face with it, because like I did the bat shot. Chris did the ladder spot through the table. I was like, fuck, I'm gonna top that right to the face. She said no. She's like, she's like, I'm not fucking hitting you with it. I came out with it though in sand spurs, and I remember I was like, you know what? What if I just force her to do it in the match? Nah, she fucking took that shit and chucked it over the gate. Dumb fucking idea, though. Because now looking back on it, dude, imagine getting fucking splinters near your eyes. Fuck.
I can't. It's gonna be embedded in my head because of you, damn it.
Yeah, I was like, fucking just hit me across the face with it. Yeah, never again. I will never do sand spurs again. Those are miserable.
I'm never gonna do sand spurs, period.
Yeah, and sand spurs grow at my house now here, too. So I see them time to time. Nah, I'm never doing fucking sand spurs ever again, dude. That shit sucks.
Ugh.
So, but getting back on track, so we just had a very controversial talk about the state of back at wrestling.
Yeah.
You're one of the people who you've wrestled in a ring. So why haven't you gone pro?
There's a couple reasons why I haven't. Number one, there's still aspects of my life that I'm trying to get together. And I don't want to make a bigger commitment that I couldn't, obtain, maintain, because I don't think that's fair of me, and I don't think that's fair of whoever I would decide to work with. Number two, I'm sick and tired of moving. I have moved 4 or 5 times in the past 365 days, and I'm fucking over it. I'm happy where I am, and I want to just stay in one place in regards to a home, I should say, because, I'm almost everywhere now. And 3, I'm actually finally rediscovering my love for wrestling and having fun with what I'm doing, even if it's not ideally what I would like to do. I now have more freedom than I ever did, and I just want to use it wisely. I want to meet the people that I grew up watching. I want to meet people that, grew up watching me, and I want to work with them, and I just want to make the community better the best way I can. Even though some people don't like me because of the way I talk about it and the way I be about it and the way I market myself. You can put that in whatever basket you wish. But one thing about me is that I'm always authentic. I believe in loyalty, and I don't believe in just turning my back on everything, disregarding my journey to it, and then becoming one of those people that looks down upon my origins. That's why YBW is still going, and that's reason number 4. Um, I'm glad I stuck to my gut all the times when I wanted to call it quits with YBW, because not only do I have the roster that I've always wanted that can also learn more along with me, I have the brotherhood and the family I've always wanted that I can go to. So call me a sucker for wanting to keep that. I don't give a shit. That you can't put a price on that.
I mean, for sure. And I mean, traveling in general, that's so fucking expensive to keep up with, you
Yeah.
know? And like the
Mhm.
difference of like, oh, well, pros travel, that's just the norm for a pro wrestler. We don't get paid for this. We do this
Yeah.
for free out of the love of wrestling. So like if you have the means to do, a base at your own home and, get your name and your product out there, I mean, I see nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, you know how many times FBW ended, and now look at us now. And I'm glad that, you know, even though FBW's ended so many times and like we made a big deal, like how like 2022 that was supposed to be my last backyard wrestling match, but like now FBW's in its prime. FBW's more bigger and more successful than it's ever been.
Yeah. Congrats on 1K, brother.
Yeah, 1,000 subscribers, dude. I was at fucking work when I was at work, had some spare time, so I was like, you know what, let me go check the YouTube, because like
Yeah.
I started doing shorts, so I was like, let me see what fucking views I have on that, and dude,
Uh huh. Yeah.
1,000, dude. Sadly, I was at work, so I was like, fuck, man, because I was like, man, everybody's texting me now. I'm like fucking making a whole big deal out of it, and shit, dude, 1,000 subscribers. That's wild, because like that's something that not many backyard wrestling feds like accomplish. And the
Yeah.
thing, it's like, to me, like 1,000 subscribers, like why it means so much on YouTube is because unlike other platforms like Instagram or like Facebook, where like you can gather a lot of bots or whatever, on YouTube,
Yeah.
that 1,000 subscribers has to be 1,000 legit authentic people, because YouTube deletes like they delete bot accounts and shit, and like, so like, you know I mean, you've hit 1,000 subscribers, before
Yeah.
FBW, but like, how is it hitting 1,000 subscribers on your end? Because for me, it felt like, for me, hitting 1,000 subscribers was validation for my journey in wrestling. Because it's no secret, I've said it so many times, like I couldn't go pro because, the money, I had my 2 kids back to back. Now I got a mortgage. I got all this responsibilities and shit that like it's just hard to save up that payment for wrestling school and shit. And then being gone like all the time, away from my kids. So like the 1,000 subscribers was validation for like that, and like all the fucking years of just being bullied and belittled and like slept on, because everybody sleeps on Anthony Aries and FBW. But like now I got 1,000 fucking subscribers.
Right.
So how was it for
Absolutely.
you hitting your 1,000 subscribers?
It was great, and I remember it happened in mid 2023, and it was at the time when the show was realistically me, Dominic, and Aaron. Um, but no, to me, hitting 1,000 means the world to me. Meant the world to me in my whole backyard wrestling career, and I'm going to tell you why. Number one, the amount of people that sleep on YBW because we're overly masked and blah 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 blah, and we don't have a ring. But yet we are higher and have reached a certain pinnacle as opposed to all these top dogs and all these other names who are in some instances catching up. Blah 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 blah. It created me, like YBW created me. I share an anniversary with Young Breakout Wrestling, so it means the world to me there. Second, like you said, proving people wrong that have always made a mockery of it, never really saw any value in it, never saw any value in me, but now I can be like, hmm. The third thing is being authentic and being yourself in any field is very hard to gain an audience. And it is so much easier to reach a certain pinnacle when you cave into the mediocre audience, the childish audience, and you do all this stupid spot monkey, inappropriate, childish, tomfoolery bullshit in order to get like a million views or whatever. It is so much easy. It is so much easier. Let me rephrase
To
that to
sell
correct my
yourself
grammar.
out.
Yeah, it's so much easier to be an arrogant, idiotic dickhead than being an authentic, compassionate individual to reach a certain pinnacle on social media. I'd argue that the people that are authentic and the people that do stick true to their beliefs, stick true to their words, stay true to the people they have around them, will not only be more successful in the long run, but reach the highest pinnacle, the highest upper echelon of society than all the people that are willing to just sign a contract, sell their souls to the devil, and fucking just brush their real friends and family to the side, kick them to the curb, leave them in the dust, leave them in the dirt for a meaningless ounce of attention for maybe 15 minutes or money.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, like not many backyard wrestling feds have hit a
Reach
thousand
that point.
subscribers. You know,
Yeah, no, there's not many.
only a honestly like the true backyard wrestling feds. That hit 1,000 subscribers. I can probably count on my two hands barely.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not counting the whole borderline indie feds who have rings
Yeah,
and they're borderline indies, like true bred backyard
backyard
wrestling feds
wrestling.
on the ground on the trampoline. Not many have hit that, and that's really fucking huge. I mean, shit. I never would have thought I would have hit 1,000 subscribers because like shit. Like in school when FBW was like really got going. I just started high school and shit. The whole fucking school bullied me for FBW. And when I'm talking about the whole fucking school, I meant the
Do you
whole
mean the
fucking
whole
school.
school?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
fucking teachers. The wrestling coach was even fucking bullying me over fucking FBW. And then after bullying me and making fun of me for FBW for a bit, he was like, "Oh, come join the wrestling team. I really want you on the wrestling team. I think I can help you out with your wrestling if you join the wrestling team." I was like,
Yeah,
"Motherfucker,
no.
I'm not getting hazed. Like, I'm not fucking stupid. Do I look fucking stupid?" And no, and at one point I was like, "Fuck, I'd love to do like amateur wrestling because we've seen like
Don't. It sucks. It fucking
but
sucks.
like legends like Kurt Angle, Dolph
Mhm.
Ziggler, and like unredacted Lesnar, and like people
Mhm.
like that, like they've done it. So I was like, oh, if I do it, that'll just help me in pro, But no,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not getting fucking hazed. I was like, I'm good. I'll stick to FBW, and
I
look at me
almost
now.
did.
Shit, like
Like
look,
I was getting picked on like a motherfucker. Like it was so bad, dude. I've had so many terrible experiences with school. In addition to just me existing and breathing and not being like everybody else and being wired differently because I spent most of my life raised around adults. I was an only child for 13 years. I spent my life around my grandfather who was wise as fuck, my gram who my aunt when she would pop in, my uncle, my uncles, my cousin, like I wasn't born into what other people were born into, which is the semi perfect life of where you've got two parents and there's no financial struggles and you can do whatever you want and you play all these sports and you fit in with everybody else, blah 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 blah, and it's just the boring fucking, no offense, whitewashed bullshit American way of living, and it's boring and lame as fuck. I would much rather be who I am. Different race, different background, different experience, different hardships, and actually reach a certain level of life than to live the same Joe Schmo life as everybody else. So I'm
shit,
proud to be a backyard wrestler.
shit. I don't even know where the fuck I would be right now if I didn't start backyard wrestling. Because backyard
I'd
wrestling is
be
such a
miserable in
huge
school.
part. What?
Yeah. I'd be miserable in school. I know exactly what I'd be doing. And the thing is, I would have this unfulfilled, like there would just be a void without
Shit,
backyard
like
wrestling for me, I believe.
honestly, if I never moved to Florida from New York, I definitely would not have started backyard wrestling, and that's so wild to think that like, what if my parents just was like, oh no, we're just gonna stay in New York? I would have never, I would have never backyard wrestled. I don't even know if I would have made it pro because shit, for the fuck I grew up, dangerous as shit was not the place.
I mean, you could, in another life, you could have came to PA for YB. No, I'm just kidding.
Dude, my sister actually lives up in PA now.
Oh, really? What part? What part?
I
What
don't know.
part?
I don't talk to her really, but
Oh, damn.
fuck it. One way ticket to YBW. So
Hey.
after all this controversial talks of like backyard wrestling, where do you want to see backyard wrestling as a whole get to in the future?
I think if we, and this is going to sound a bit harsh, and I know I'm going to get shit for saying this. I think if we weed out the people that aren't really helping the cause, that are really making backyard wrestling toxic, I think we can prosper. I think if people who are done trying to pretend like they're still living in their prime would just focus on the new generation of backyard and underground wrestlers, because life's all about moving forward. Whether it's your job, whether it's wrestling, the world moves on without you. You are easily replaceable no matter how much you've done, no matter how much you want to do, no matter how you feel, whatever the case may be. You can be fucking Beyonce, you'll be replaced by Nicki Minaj. You can be Barack Obama, you'll be replaced by Donald Trump. Everybody's replaceable at the end of the day. And if you think you're so goddamn special to the point where you can't be replaced by another man or another woman in any fucking field, not only are you delusional, you need to get your mind checked. So I really think if we had people who are no longer where they once were slowly start taking a step back from the spotlight and actually let guys like me, Abraham Storm, the younger cat, prosper and grow into top tier spots, we will get somewhere. Because you can't, let's just say we keep building up all the older people, right? Keep having them at the top. Grim, Mr. Judgment, Navon McDonald. We keep putting these people on a pedestal. What happens if they get injured and they can't wrestle anymore? Are you still gonna want them? No, you're gonna want somebody to step up. And you can only do so much of the same thing for so long. I'll give you an example. With DBW, if it's not Mr. Judgment, it's the Blaze-6 Christian. Um, for YBW, if it wasn't me, it would sadly be ATK trying to make it Dominic, and right now it's fucking working, so thank God. If it's not Anthony Aries in FBW, it's Chris Dynamite. We need
Yeah.
to shift. We
Yeah.
need to shift, and we're not fucking shifting. We're not. If we let's take IMF for example. Instead of Soldier, GP, and Omen Black, what about Felix Jones? Instead of C Money and CJ Black and ROEW, why not Jacob Collins? Instead of you and Chris Dynamite, and I believe he'll get there someday, Draven, so I
Yeah.
can't pronounce his last name.
Draven
Draven
Soulless. So
Solace.
yeah.
You know, we need to be
I
building for
have
the
real big
next
faith. I have
generation.
real big faith in fucking fuck. Cannot talk. I have real big
Yeah,
faith
it's
in
okay.
Draven Soulless.
Right, right. And that's what we're doing right now with YBW without spoiling too much. If it's not me and if it's not Dominic, we're forming Magnum Carter to be that next thing.
I mean, right now in
And
FBW, I think that we have Sam Reeves. Sure, Sam Reeves is, he did his shit in SGW, but like that whole history is so diluted with like deleted footage and like whatever. Like now
right,
instead
it's
of
forgotten. And
yeah,
that's
so
not even
now
me
I'm
dissing
giving
him.
Sam
It's
Reeves
forgotten.
yeah, so like I'm giving Sam Reeves a run. Honestly, maybe his first like real run cuz like hell like they took all the SGW footage off YouTube. So like now I'm giving him his like first real run and I'm trying to groom Draven cuz like me yeah, I don't need the spotlight no more.
I think in a year and a half he'll get to where you want him to go.
I mean, he actually has like pro wrestling training.
Right, right. I don't think it will take. Okay, my honest thoughts on him, from what I've heard, what I've seen, for the fans to get behind it, I give it a year and a half. For his star power and for his intelligence, he's already there. He knows. I can tell he knows to
You know what I
open
like about
knees,
Draven?
keep this shut. Yeah,
He doesn't have an ego.
yeah,
That's what I really like
I
about
can
him.
tell.
Because, like I said, he has pro wrestling training. Not fully, like somewhat.
But
He didn't.
some,
Yeah. So he could have came into FBW, looked at me, an untrained dude who's only self taught. Technically, I haven't
yeah,
been trained. He could have came up to me and said, "Brother, I have this. I've actually trained with the pros. I know what's right. You have no idea what you're doing." This dude came in humbly. I was like, "Look, I have pro training stuff, so I know how to get around safely. But what is your vision? Anything you need, you got for me." And he's a sponge. Because, I mean, not trying to fucking brag or fucking become a toxic egomaniac. I mean,
no, no,
for the stuff that I've self taught myself in and for the amount of years that I've done it, yeah, I think I'm pretty well set to keep everybody safe and I know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, if I ever get that opportunity to, like, get in a ring, I think I'll be pretty well set.
yeah,
But and the whole thing about it's either me or Chris, yeah, Chris hates it, but Chris is my old reliable. I'm not gonna lie. Like if it comes to a circumstance in case of emergency, if it has to be me or Chris as the world champ,
Chris.
it's Chris. Fuck you. I'm the Booker man. I can make it to where I don't seem selfish. But
Mhm.
no,
No, I agree.
I mean, shit. I mean, I hope that backyard wrestling could reach a well set of like appreciation and like
Mhm.
because it's such a magical, passionate, entertaining place. It's just the people in it. It's just that's really what's sucking the fun out,
Sending it, yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
And what's really shitty about it, and sorry to cut you off, but what's really shitty about backyard wrestling to a degree, with certain companies even bothering to get noticed, is you look at all these other places that closed down, and I'll read comments of some of them from like WWA, MSW, whatever, and they're more concerned about a return that's not never going to come more than the people that are consistently busting their ass that weren't at a certain point back
oh,
then, but now have reached a certain point. And one, I think it's hypocritical for you to want so much, but it's from a different audience, and you can't knock something until you try it. You know what I mean? I used to be a very very picky eater, and it wasn't until I tried steak that I loved
oh
it.
my
Now it's my
god,
favorite fucking food.
don't even get
That
me
was my favorite.
started about that
Yeah,
shit because we
but
have
that's my
so many.
favorite food of all time, and that's the point I'm trying to say is a lot of people look at a handful of feds and they just knock them because it's not the same thing. And even then, those shows on the those shows that were slowly reaching their end were falling off anyway, while people like you and me stayed consistent throughout that time frame.
You know what pisses me off or annoys me is we have so many backyard wrestling insiders or like analysts or whatever, and they only
Do a
spotlight.
select crowd of people. Okay, yeah,
Yep,
I hate that. I hate
like
it.
me. Like I've never been on the best backyard wrestler list of the year. I've never been in a backyard wrestling spotlight, post or whatever. Nobody spotlights me or FBW, and I'm not the one to think or preach I'm doing better stuff than you or I'm better off than you or I do this better or whatever because that's just
Yeah,
not my place. It's just common respect.
yeah, but
But
don't
like
act like I
shit,
don't
that is
exist.
such like when I go around, I say everybody sleeps on Anthony Aries. I truly mean that because you know I think we need a spot. I mean, I try to build up the next big generation of backyard wrestling or form a good spot in today's generation with the backyard wrestling nexus. So, what is your thoughts on the backyard wrestling nexus?
I think it's a good thing. I think that different. I think everyone's in for a different reason, and if we're being completely transparent, there's a handful of people that not a handful, but there's a couple people that I don't like that are involved, and I'm not gonna say names, but you can ask me and I'll answer honestly.
Who?
I just think there's who list off some names. Let's list off some names here
I don't
of
know.
who else in it
I
or
have kicked.
companies.
I have removed some people, so I don't know if the people that you don't
Well,
like.
from the last event, people who are in the last event, ask me
Oh
about them.
shit! So we have Ace Reed, that's
Um,
BWDU. We had me. You fucking
I,
hate me still.
no, I don't hate. I
Uh,
wouldn't be on a podcast with you if
we
I
have
hated
Dalton
you.
Skull. He was on the last show.
Okay, okay. Let's talk about Dalton. Let's talk about Dalton. Um, Dalton is one of the few people that I truly believe, actually, one of the handful of people that has a certain spot in backyard wrestling because of me. And I truly believe that if it wasn't for me having a match with him and it blowing up, I don't believe that BYCW would be half of where it is today, and he wouldn't have gotten over half the recognition he's gotten. Um, I truly believe with how things went with the UWA TBW situation, not even with the other thing, but in regards to him leaving on the terms he did and wanting to go there, he's one of those people that can easily be bought and sold. I don't believe that he really values loyalty the way I do, because I'm not going to lie. There were a handful of times I talked to someone else about wanting to go to TBW while I was in UWA, but it wasn't in the sense where I was going to full on leave the company because as the heritage champion, I had obligations. I wanted the experience. I truly believe you cannot call yourself a traveled star and a high caliber guy if you don't wrestle other traveled stars and high caliber people. How do you expect to get better if you're doing the same things? You have to switch it up and do something different in order to become unique and successful. The thing with Dalton that really pisses me off is he left on the terms that he did when he did the exact same, when he handled a situation very similarly to how things were handled. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, he got upset because his cousin stiffed everybody, almost gave Jake a concussion, um, when he was playing Pogo during the Underground title match at Final Destination 3. And he was upset when they told us they weren't going to make the Unleashed taping, and we were going to crown a new Underground champion, in which we did, and we vacated the championship because he wasn't going to be there to drop it. When
Hmm.
he, not too long ago, stripped and released Tiny, a friend of Southern Viking, who was their world champion at the time or whatever. He did the exact same thing. The exact same thing. For someone that's been in the yard for 10 years, and this is what really bothers me from more so a business perspective, not a personal one. What really bothers me is that for someone that has had a company for a decade now, still doesn't understand the concept of doing what's best for the company, and you're taking it as a personal vendetta because it's your family, you need to kick the family out of it, or else you're setting yourself up for failure. And if you don't understand that simple concept of business, you shouldn't even be in the business to begin
It
with.
I mean, it takes a lot to be like a company owner, and even in backyard wrestling, because
Right.
it takes a lot. And I'm not gonna lie, running a company is hard. It really is,
Absolutely.
especially like when you're the only motherfucker doing everything. I mean, I have no
Right.
problem with Dalton Skull, but you've had your share time on and off in the back end wrestling. You've main evented a collab show. You've actually gotten inducted into the BYWN
Hall of
Hall of
Fame.
Fame. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it just like with the back end wrestling nexus, I want to get people together to where they have a network where they can receive help, give help, and be on a mixtape to show the world, hey, this is what backyard wrestling is about, and we're still killing it. That's really what the main goal of the backyard wrestling is, and will always will be.
Right. And don't think for one second that I don't believe that. I know some people are going to be like, oh, well, he's just starting drama. Oh, he's being a dickhead. Aaron Blaze going to business for himself. I'm honest. I'm not coming to you as Aaron Blaze. I'm coming to you as Eamon Schilling. If you're going to ask me something, I'm going to answer honestly. And that's why people don't like me, is because I am transparent and authentic. The same way I market myself, the same way I conduct business. I'm that way in real life. Um,
Oh,
I genuinely do
trust me,
feel
I
like,
I
yeah,
fucking feel that.
yeah, no, no. And truthfully, I do believe Dalton has a passion for what we do, and I respect him for getting back up after what happened to him when he suffered that injury. I was willing to do anything to not only just keep Dalton in UWA at the time, not that that aged well, um, but I always made it clear that I had his back and I had his best interest at heart. And when he took a stab at a place that was once my home in many different shapes and forms, um, it's beyond disrespectful when that was the place that really made you who you are. And I'm
So
not a big fan of that. Like I said, I'm big on loyalty, and I think the way Dalton went about not only that, but how he lied about his intentions with TBW, saying he would never wrestle as Dalton Skull, he wouldn't take any of our belts there. Yet that's exactly what they fucking did. I think from my experience and from the way I see things, Dalton's just a dishonest individual.
interesting. I mean, I have no issue with Dalton Skull. I mean, I not like I talk to him a crazy amount, but like I feel you about the hate shit. Cause like me, I'm bold too. I mean, shit. I preach some shit that does gets people not to rally behind me, or like I don't kiss ass. That's my big thing. I don't kiss nobody's
Yeah,
ass,
no, I'm not either, and
and I don't
that's
even
the thing.
fangirl over nobody. I mean, and I
Oh
think
yeah,
that rubs people the wrong way when like someone comes to me and is like, "Oh, I'm a big fucking star." Like, "Hey, look at me," and I'm just kind of like, "Okay, cool, I guess." I don't know.
yeah, and you do, and you jokingly do that with me a couple times, and I don't take it personally, just because one, that's just how you operate, and
Yeah,
two,
I mean,
your points are very valid, but also so are my accomplishments, and it's just one of those things where I don't really think
just
that I'm
I
that big. A character is different than real life, and in real life, I don't think half the things I think.
shit. I traveled. Where the fuck is my glazing, everybody? I went to Georgia.
Yeah,
Where's my glit? No, but like, I don't know. I just don't fangirl over nobody, because then that stems back to my thing I was talking about earlier. I respect everybody's hustle. Everybody's story is different. Like you've traveled, you went there, you did all this shit, but like that doesn't mean that I didn't go through shit that like was
right.
fucking world ending to me. Like I said,
Yeah,
everybody is the hero of their own story. Um,
yeah.
on to my next question before we wrap this up, because I really want to shed some light to this topic. You had a big stint in Tennessee, right? You did UWA and stuff. You worked with, you know, down there in Tennessee, and that's a scene that gets a lot of light for,
Hey,
well, not some good fucking reasons. Um,
yeah.
you've also worked with another Fed a little up north that, you know, not fucking great light. And a big part of your YBW career was tied to a man who, well, I guess doesn't really have,
And
yeah,
and
um, who doesn't have a good reputation now because of where he decided to call home. And that is, you worked with ATK, you've worked in the pedophilia territories. How do you cope knowing that you did big stints in those territories and now it's all diluted and, you know, blinded by a big shadow of just, controversy, whether it's, you know, well, really, it's just mostly pedophilia and pedophilia supporters. So, like, how do you cope with knowing that your career and a big part of your history is now tied to
tied
that?
to it. Well, the first thing I'm going to say is, even though I took accountability in regards to the UWA situation, I'm not really responsible for it at the end of the day. I just think, as a man and for someone that believes in doing God's will, it was the right thing to do. And for a handful of things I say in regards to building this company, well, building this community and building my company and wanting to make things better for people, um, I do believe that I shouldn't follow in the path of the blind and hide from speaking my mind. I believe that God gave me what he has given me, what he's given me, and I should use it to tell the truth, be transparent, and be real. I don't believe in being fake. I don't believe in hiding from problems. I believe in fixing them if there's a way. And within that paradigm, Jake's a fucking clown. He was a clown when I went there the first time. And I guess when I came back, nothing really changed. If I knew anything about the person who shall not be named, I wouldn't have even considered going back. I wish I kind of did put my foot down in the sense of the time frame of when things were like unraveling. I felt like I would have been better off, but at the end of the day, BTW opened their doors to me. I've been given so many um, texts, calls, support, and opportunities ever since then, and you know, not that that was what I was aiming for, even though that was always my goal before everything happened. Um, I'm just glad that people saw the real me and the authentic me and knows that that is not who I am and what I represent. With the whole UWA thing, it's very tragic. And I'm more concerned about how I was told one thing and told another, and just how Jake handled the whole thing and then chose not to handle it. And the fact that he's been talking to CJ, who I still talk to because that's like a brother to me. The fact that apparently he blames me for why UWA closed down, and says that I was jealous of who was the world champion and all that. And still to this day, and I know he didn't look at his phone when I sent him a big ass text message. You can come here and run my fade if that's the fucking case. But yeah, so Jake's a clown. He's going nowhere in life. He relies on his family for everything. Great folks though, great pets, great place they live in. I've treated them with nothing but respect. But I find it disrespectful that he has worked with me on two separate occasions, fucked me over on both, and has the audacity to blame me for the downfall, even though I cared more about UWA than he did. That's the first thing. Uh, XEW was always a joke, and anything that was tied to it was also a joke. The fact that every single one of them don't even like each other and wanted to work together and weren't even getting paid for half the shit they were doing is highly ridiculous. I truly believe, even in addition to me, but aside from me, they have dropped the ball on so many great, talented,
I mean, the
good-hearted people.
motherfucker lets his 9-year-old son wrestle a fucking convicted pedophile. So I mean,
Not even just one, too. I'm pretty sure he wrestled Tommy as well. But the thing there is, I felt like I had something to prove there for a shitty tag match that happened in Tennessee, ironically, with Josh and Andy. Um, and I felt like I had something to prove to them, and not only them, but Dale, because Dale, not even Law, can't even write his own because he has no balls. I felt like I had something to prove to him because he's been a huge influence on my life, not the best one because he's tried to dictate almost everything in regards to my career and my company, and it's my fault for allowing that much bullshit, toxicity to consume part of me, and maybe that's why I think the way I think and feel the way I feel about business. But I felt like I owed them the world to show them that I was um, not that same stupid 6-year-old kid that wrestled in Tennessee and thought he was hot shit. But the truth is, I didn't owe them a single motherfucking thing. Until this day, I still don't. Um, because at the end of the day, UWA didn't make me who I am. CBW didn't make me who I am. XCW sure as shit didn't make me who I am. I was Aaron Blaze before I got there.
the
I
only
was
thing
already
XCW
doing
has made is fucking pedophiles.
right, right. I already had my own legacy. I already had my own accomplishments. I already had my own accolades. I don't need 4 shitty wasted months, a world championship that didn't mean anything, and having a bunch of mid matches with decent stories in Tennessee to define any aspect of my career. I don't think anybody should. But with XCW, if I could relate it to anything, I don't consider it a wrestling company. I consider it a cult. And for
A
22 years of
fucking
life, it's
scumbag
existed and
pedophilia.
hasn't gotten anywhere.
Yeah.
Right, right. You've been doing this for 22 years. You haven't gotten anywhere. You brag about your experience on the indies. That doesn't mean shit. What can you do to make me a better star? What can you do with my character to get me to a certain peak? Um, but I was never what I was supposed to be in XCW.
Yeah,
I
because they were
was
too
propped
busy
up to be
fucking
this big.
worrying about pushing the pedophiles.
Right. I didn't even know until, well, this past year about any of it.
It's so
But
wild how people have
yeah,
pedophiles around, like, because like kids, like there was kids at these tapings, and nobody says
yeah,
anything. They just fucking shoved under the rug, and it's like, okay, I know this dude's a pedophile, and I know you're bringing your kids, or there's going to be kids at this taping, but
yeah.
fuck
But
it,
there were
he's a
two of
wrestler.
them. There were two of them, Anthony, and that's really fucking bad. There were two of them, and Josh tried to hide it. Like he tried to hide it, and I'm not going to say who told me, but he tried to hide it about Tommy and Cerebral. But I digress. XCW is and was a fucking joke. Waste of my time. I was buried there. I don't give a shit what anybody says. I was propped up to be this big fucking deal, and I wasn't. I lost matches where it didn't make any sense. I was landed on my head, and the only person that looked out for me to make sure I was okay and wasn't fucking paralyzed was Justin Parsley, who also was wronged of that place and who's been shitted on in the past by Fletch, but nevertheless, they got their comeuppance and they deserve it. And I will keep popping bottles of whatever fucking non-alcoholic drink I can
Yeah,
to
your
celebrate
Capri
their
Sun.
downfall because they deserve it. They deserve. I believe karma comes in doses, and when I found out that news at work, call me Drew McIntyre. I prayed for this, and it happened, and it finally happened.
What a
I don't
Mark
believe
bringing quotes from WWE into this.
right, but I don't believe that people of that caliber should not get what they
Oh,
deserve
what comes
and
around
should
goes
be
around. It'll,
what comes around goes
time
around. You
come,
reap what you
time's
sow,
due.
and when it's time to go, it's time to go. And I don't feel sorry for it. And people can say, "Oh, you're mad because you didn't get a belt." No, I'm mad because the owner threatened me. They tried to buy my company. They tried to get me to close it down. They try to get me to move in with them, give up my life. There are so many reasons why
That's just
I am
weird.
glad that they closed.
That's just
Yeah,
weird.
yeah, and we can talk about that off camera too. I still have the screenshots of Fletch threatening to come to Philly for WrestleMania when I was with my mom and to beat my ass and all this other shit. So, oh, and he threatened to jump me in Tennessee, but we're just gonna hop, skip, and jump around that. And then we get into um, ATK. Um, should I try and be nice, or should I still be a bit bitter and be honest and
I mean,
transparent?
I
Which
don't really want
version
to.
of me
I
do
mean, I
you
don't
want?
really want to spread hate, but I mean,
I mean, whatever version you want. Either way, I'm not gonna go fully in on him, which I'm entitled to when you think about it. I guess
I stopped being
I'll just
friends with
say
ATK when he chose the pedophile supporters in XCW over friendships, and
yeah, I'm gonna say this about Aaron. And this is the nicest way I can say something about him because I've known him for a long time. I truly believe he's a lost soul. He did not. I feel like life has dealt him a bad hand. With not so much of a father, different situations going on with his mother, toxic dynamic with his brother, getting him into bad habits, um, and him trying to fit in with the wrong crowd of people, and that's been a common theme his entire life. And when I met him, I genuinely not only wanted to be his friend and not only wanted him on my show, I genuinely wanted some kind of brother that I could actually talk to. Because at the time, my brother was only like one or whatever. I can't remember how old Isaiah was. I don't even think he was born yet, if I'm being quite honest with you. But the point is, like, again, I try building brotherhoods. I don't just try building, friendships. Like, oh, hey, I see you a couple days, blah 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 blah. And we hang out, and then we don't really, really, really speak. There's a difference between not speaking for a while and not really speaking much.
Oh, that's me, dude.
Yeah,
I'm too fucking loyal, and I'm too nice to some of these fuckers. Like, I really go out of
right.
my way to like be there for people.
I so with Aaron, there were a lot of things I put up with his family that weren't my place to put up with. Um, when it was close to night time, after helping him with his homework, when really we were wrestling, but there were a couple times I did actually help him with his work because he was struggling. Um, I would walk him home and make sure he got home okay because if something happened to him, I couldn't live with myself because I legitimately was worried about him and I really cared about him. Uh, I had his back for 5 years. We've had our problems here and there, um, but I've always looked out for him. It's no secret why he gets the clicks that he does. It's that niche, disgusting audience of people that don't see talent. They see um, whatever. I'm not gonna get into the specifics. You get where I'm going with this. Um, despite how he can be, how he would act, I would give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe more times than I cared to admit. And so would Dom, so would whoever else would be around. And I don't know, after he had this long ass world title run that I thought he deserved, and this was when I would play into the only looking out for my best friend part. See, I'm guilty of it too. Don't think I'm this perfect heaven sent angel. I make mistakes too. I fuck up. Um, let me get a drink of water here. This is a bit harder to talk about than I thought.
Oh,
Because,
jeez.
well, and it's probably because I'm being nice about it and opening that void of, oh, that was my brother at one point, blah 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 blah. Um, I obviously want all of my friends to succeed and reach a certain point. I don't want to hold them back for anything, but I also know what they are and are not capable of, what they can and cannot handle because of how their personalities are, how I dissect their personalities, and there's just some things that you're not ready to take on your own, and sometimes you need help and you need guidance. I feel like anybody does. And XCW really fucked me over. Like, they really fucked me over and really treated me like shit when it boils down to it at the end of the goddamn day. I've known Aaron before we even became popular, before YBW reached to where it reached. You can argue it's because of him. I call bullshit. You can argue it's because of my writing. Maybe it's a give and take. It's not just all one person. Everyone contributed in their own ways.
Takes two to tango.
But yeah, it takes two to tango. But if it takes two to tango, there's been a whole people on the dance floor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
So
mean,
for him to,
wrestling is regardless of like, because
yeah,
I had this conversation with Chris when we actually hit 1,000 subscribers. Regardless of me being the booker, regardless of me editing the footage and doing all the fucking bullshit, if it's not for them putting in the work with my blueprint, nothing would be. So it's not just
no,
me or it's not just them. It's team
no,
effort.
absolutely. And I will give Aaron credit where it's due. He did a lot and helped a lot with YBW behind the scenes. There's a couple promo packages he's made that he's helped me with. Maybe he's edited a show or two, not like a full on pay per view. Good God, no offense, I wouldn't trust him with that. Because I'm nitpicky about how I edit, and that's probably about
That's
it.
why nobody helps
But
me with FPW.
oh yeah. But through all of that, and him accomplishing everything, and having this lengthy world title run, he gained this big ego. Like, he really started acting like a prick ever since then and being distant and getting too big for his britches. And we've talked about that earlier, on and off camera. Um, I've done everything in a handful of other places too. I've done a lot, but that doesn't stop me from continuing to go out there and get the fans a show, especially where my fan base originates from. It's a little something called respect. And for him to leave on the terms that he did were really, really fucked up. Um, I didn't have an issue with him traveling at all. I didn't care that he wanted to go to XCW, even though I feel like that's kind of him taking a knife and slitting my throat. It sure as hell is a stab in the back, considering he knew what happened. I told him about everything, and he still went behind my back to work with them.
I mean, he
Um,
went to fucking TBW after the whole pedophilia shit.
yeah, like right after, and it's just like that's not smart. I
Yeah.
mean, at the end of the day, you can't stop him, and I can understand it from wanting to get your name out there, but at the same time, like, who cares?
Okay, first of
No
all,
one cares.
regardless if
No
they,
one cares now because you burned bridges.
well,
No
first of
one's
all,
sharing it.
it doesn't matter
Yeah,
if they released the pedophiles or got rid of the pedophiles. They still did business like that. So you went there. You went there knowing their morals of we support pedos. So I mean, that just like
yeah, that
dilutes it
already.
all.
Yeah, and anyone that follows him and anyone that talks to him should be ashamed of their should also be ashamed of themselves, and you are also a part of the problem because you are supporting a pedo supporter by following him and supporting
I
him.
mean, all these other motherfuckers too, like all of them. Everybody who decided
Yeah,
to stick with TBW, stick with XCW, or did, because I guess XCW is done. But
yeah,
like,
they're part of the problem. They're part of the problem. But back to everything with him, it's just, again, I've known him longer than he's been doing this, realistically speaking. And for him to go behind my back and work with the people that fucked me over, that try to slander my name and ruin me, I don't know what I did to deserve that. And that's, I think, what really hurts me about it. Because if he came to me and we had a conversation, he's like, hey, listen, um, I don't know if you're on good terms with them or not, um, because things can change, people can change. And this was before the pedo stuff. But if he came to me and he was like, but XCW just gave me this big opportunity, blah, 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 blah. And whether he wanted to stick around or not, he's like, what can I do to help that transition? Is this cool with you? Blah, blah, blah. And if he came to me and talked to me like a man, instead of being a backstabbing little bitch, I wouldn't have minded it. But it set me off like a lot. It hurt me a lot. And this is something I've never said publicly. When he decided he didn't want to be a part of YBW anymore, and I'm talking to everyone in a whole separate chat away from him because at that time I probably kicked him out or whatever. I don't fully remember. I try to forget it. It was right on the cusp of me actually going to Tennessee to film Unleashed and all that other shit that hasn't come out because Jake's a prick. But I remember Dominic and Ducky or Magnum Carter being mad the most, and they wanted to jump him. They
mm,
wanted to beat his ass, or for the matches that they were supposed to have with him that I originally had slated, they're like, maybe I should hit him a little bit harder, blah, 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 blah. I, even in the end, even when he was stabbing me in the back and fucking me over again and was disregarding everything we've ever been through, I made up a lie about the taping being postponed so that he wouldn't come. Because I knew if he did, and this was during his birthday weekend, it was supposed to be a
mm,
birthday taping for him. So it would have been August 30th to September 1st, Friday to Sunday. I didn't feel right doing that to him. Even though I wanted to slap him in the face,
Uh, I
I
mean,
still didn't feel like it was the right thing to do.
for
I felt
me,
like if he was really done, it was best to just keep everybody separated. We would do what we would need to do and just move on without him.
for me, like, I don't fight people. I just don't think violence is like the answer, to be honest.
Right. But the fact that he then wanted to make up lies saying that I stole his stuff, which I was told to take everything with me from the Yarnell venue that we were filming at the time because I didn't have really anywhere to live, and me and my mom, who I was living with at the time, stayed at a friend's house. Um, but yeah, we lied about the taping. He said he wanted his stuff back. He still owes me money to this day, and I told him, and this was the last time I had a conversation with him, unless you pay me the money you owe me, I'm not shipping anything to you. I'm not giving you anything, especially for how you've been acting. And since this day, he hasn't paid me back. I still have the stuff. It remains untouched. Um, but yeah, he then then he starts taking all these shots that everyone knows I'm the best wrestler in PA, but you're not here. You moved to Indiana because you're incompetent. You move your entire life there, and I don't think. And this goes back to why I know I don't want to say he's dumb as fuck because again, I'm trying to be nice and polite as possible. This is why I know he doesn't think because he didn't think longevity. XEW gave him the same opportunity that they gave me the year prior to move in there, blah 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 blah, wrestle, we'll get you a job, blah 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 blah.
Hmm.
He didn't think about KTW. He didn't think about if the show were to end. He didn't think about all these things. I did. I did because I wasn't just going to rush into anything anymore. I already rushed into their crazy, unrealistic bullshit schedule, let alone moving my entire life out there.
Yeah.
And I did stay a week there to get all those Halloween shows done. And it was then I realized this isn't for me. I just couldn't live life like this. And I don't know what it was because I felt empty without the normal. And I stuck true to my gut. I stuck true to Dominic, who's been my friend since almost preschool. And we figured shit out the best way we knew how. And we continue to move forward as friends and as business associates. And my life has never been better off. What's concerning with him is the fact that we were his friends. You were his friend. I sure as shit was his friend. Dominic went to his fucking graduation. Um, we've done more for him in years than they've done for him in a couple of months. He really left us all behind for a fucking belt and a spot that nobody cared about. And I kind of feel bad for Aaron. Not to the point where I would bring him back to YBW and we'd be friends again or we'd talk. That ship has sailed. I want nothing to do with him. I don't care if he would wise up one day to give me an apology. He's done. I've given him way too many chances.
You can
That's
only
over.
break your
That's
heart so many times
right.
before
And
you
the
can't
thing
glue
is,
it back together.
right. And the thing is, I refuse to let someone like that break me. I refuse to let someone like that define who I am and how I treat people and where I can go with that dynamic. I legitimately do feel bad for him a little bit because for someone that once wanted to pay so much homage to his uncle with KTW, he has I believe he's been led astray from his ultimate purpose. I believe he's let way too many followers and way too many whatever get to his head to the point where he feels like he's not only Jesus Christ and the best in the world, but he feels like he doesn't even need the people that brought him in the dance to begin with. I'm the reason ATK exists. Let's be honest. He can deny that all he wants, but his moveset plagiarized off of me, basically. Um, I'm the one that told him to use the Claymore. I came up with the hit marker. I came up with come one, come all. I came up with King of the Kick. I fucking. I'm the reason KTW started back up to begin with my equipment, with my money, with my house at the time. Like, I I made him. I made him. I'm not saying he owes me anything, really. I don't want to make it seem like he's my slave. But if you feel like you don't need me anymore and want nothing to do with me anymore, at least be a fucking man about it. At least come to me and say that to my face instead of being a coward talking to someone that raped someone else in this community and living with them, by the way, and then moving back to your mom's house, cutting shitty promos of a promo group no one knows what the fuck it is, no one cares what the fuck it is, and you're counting companies you've never really been a part of. I don't think he really understands how much he's led himself astray and lost himself. And truly, and this is as nice as I can be, again, I really hope he finds himself, and I hope one day it kicks in that he fucked up. Because he did.
I mean, if
He really did.
the moral of the story should definitely be we just hope and
Don't
wish
bite
for
the
the
hand that
best.
feeds you.
What?
Yeah, and here's the thing. Look, yeah, don't bite the hand that feeds you can be one. And another thing is like, and I haven't talked about this in so long, so sorry if I'm just getting it out there, but before he went, like a week or two before he went, I told him it wasn't a good idea and that he should reconsider. I told him it wasn't going to be worth it. And they closed down completely. That's the biggest thing you've done outside of YBW. I'm not even counting TBW because they've been losing views and their credibility is slowly
I
declining
mean,
over time.
Tennessee has always been the shithole of the community.
Right, and even then, again, I have his shit sent to me and I watch it. I actually take the time to watch it. No pop, shitty matches, no story. So what the fuck are you doing with your time? We have only so much time on this planet and you are wasting it. You are fucking wasting so much of it. I can at least look back at everything I've done and say that this actually had purpose. I got people to actually feel an emotion. Like, I don't know how much of YBW you've been watching, and I'm not trying to plug myself. I'm using this as an example, but you know who Zilla is. She loves everybody, right? She sees what's happening with me, with Dominic, and the storyline we're doing in YBW, and she says, I might not even want to watch YBW anymore because of what's happening to Aaron Blaze. That's emotion, dude.
She's a mark.
But that's emotion.
Nah,
That's
Zilla really is like the supporter of the community. I mean,
right.
Sportswire as a whole too, but
Right. And I've had six other people DM me after and say, damn. They're feeling for it. They care, Anthony. That's the point that I was trying to instill in him. It wasn't jealousy. It wasn't trying to control him. I wanted people to look at him for what he can bring to the table and not just the guy that's in Aaron Blaze's shadow. And even venturing out on his own, he still is. But if you look at what Dominic's doing in Magnum Carter, they have substance. I'm not saying I'm a know it all, but for the people that have listened to me, they've gone larger than life and they're slowly on that path. Aaron just fucking crumbled up the road.
I mean, we can only wish for the best, and I mean, nothing more we can do about that, you know? I mean, we've had a very controversial, interesting talk. This podcast definitely
Oh yeah.
took a wild turn.
Yeah.
So to wrap this podcast up on some brighter notes,
Mhm.
and to end off this podcast by reflecting on the greater part of your career, what are some things that you are grateful for in your backyard wrestling journey?
I'm grateful for any and all opportunities I've gotten, for better or for worse, because it has molded me into a better performer and a better person, no matter how much gripes I have about certain people and certain aspects. It I can at least appreciate even being involved in it at this stage of my career, at this age. I've been doing this shit since I was 11, 12, and I'm about to be 20, depending on when this comes out, either in a couple months or a month. Um, so I know my way around the block to a certain accord. And even for the failures with people that I've tried to help, despite how long I've actually known them for, I can at least look myself in the mirror, smile, and say that I've tried. That I wasn't a selfish inconsiderate prick, that I did have genuine good intentions, and that I do have a decent heart, and I do want the best in people. There's something called tough love, and I believe I give a shit ton of it, but that's coming from someone that really received no love growing up and had to teach himself and raise himself. So shoot me, I guess. Um, I'm really grateful, and this is breaking kayfabe, but I don't give a fuck. I'm really grateful for Dominic, Magnum Carter, Ace Andrews, Oliver, Blade, Dom's mom for allowing us to use the property that we currently film at. I'm especially grateful for Tom, who promotes the shit out of my stuff, and the one real person that really buys our merch other than us when we need it. Um, and for the people that I have worked with so far this year, especially BTW, you having me on this podcast here today, and just especially God for allowing me to wake up when he could have killed me any other goddamn time. So
No, I mean it's
I
been.
can only be grateful. I can only be grateful.
I mean, it's been an absolute honor having you on the podcast. It's no secret. We've had our issues and we didn't talk for a very long time, but I'm glad we're now here and at a point where we can have a conversation like this. And
I am.
I'm glad you got a lot of stuff off your chest because this took a real controversial,
Oh yeah.
interesting take. But hey, that's what SmackYard is about. I want people to tell their opinions, tell their stories, and really get their shit out there. Um, it's been an absolute honor knowing you and being a friend of yours. Hell, one day, who knows, we might get to wrestle each other. Never say never in backyard wrestling. But
If
um,
hotels in Florida were cheaper,
dude,
fucker.
this economy just sucks in general. Let's
Oh
be
yeah.
honest. Um,
I mean, there's only so much of this that I can
all
spend.
right, look,
You
I
know.
know you probably had like a 2 hour prostitution session on the corner of your street earlier. I ain't got to see your
No, it's
dollar bills
called
like that.
no, it's called taking money out of my ATM at my job and then hiding it from myself. So then when I find it, it's like, oh, I have all this extra money,
This
blah blah blah,
motherfucker
and I
said, "Yeah, I'm
keep
gonna have
doing
to
it.
pull out my fucking $100, pull them out in ones so it looks a lot, and then brag online."
I okay. So here's a goal I've set for myself in regards to actually carrying cash. The only bills I'm missing is a 50 and a 100, and when I get to that point, I'm putting all this back into my bank. And I challenge people to do this. And I'm sorry, this is a bit off topic. I challenge people to do this. One, it's to manage your money wisely. Two, it's something called discipline, and that's something everybody is lacking, especially in today's society, in some shape or form. But take out at least, I don't know, maybe take out $40 a day. Take out $40 a day, hide it, keep it somewhere. So then when you look in your account, depending on how much you have, you realize how much you don't have, and then you're not tempted to spend your money. So then when you
Interesting.
find it, try it. Dude, it's really
I'm not gonna
helped.
cap. This is gonna make me sound like a little bitch, but I don't give a fuck. I love my woman. My woman, she's the head of the fucking household. She has a fucking strict budget that she writes
There's there's nothing wrong with
after
that.
every or near every paycheck. She has a fucking. I'm talking about like a 3 subject notebook. She plans out all of our fucking paychecks months in
I was just
advance.
about to ask if she had a binder.
She did have a binder, but I got her like a
Oh
three
my god.
subject notebook. Just she
Uh,
switches, but like no, she fucking budgets every fucking paycheck. And when I tell you we stick to that budget,
we stick to it.
motherfucker, I have no say over none of my fucking money. I'll be like, hey, can I get this? She'll be like, let me go check the budget. Oh no, you cannot get your fucking candy bar. Nah, I asked her for a fucking a Nintendo Switch controller. I was like, man, I need a Switch controller. She's like, no, not in the budget. I'm telling you,
Gotcha.
no shame though. Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
But
I'll
shit,
never know what that's like, but oh well.
hey, sometimes I mean, you wanna know how it's like being fucking married? Nah, I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm gonna get fucking. Hey, she's not gonna watch this, but just knowing me, she's gonna like somehow like just she's gonna have like a fucking epiphany or whatever, and just know, and I'm fucking. Let me go get the couch ready after this, so I'm just not gonna say nothing. But man, it's been an absolute honor talking to you. Anything you want to say before we wrap this thing up?
Uh yeah. Um if you try your best, you're not gonna fail. That's one thing. Um stay true to the people that are in your corner, because those are the people that actually have your back. Um, of course, there's always going to be something better that comes along in the form of a job, in the form of a person. But when it comes to people who actually know you, don't don't turn your back on them, because you never know when you could need them. And then just be yourself. Like, don't pretend to be something you're not in order to fit in. And you want to know what? Fitting in is fucking lame and stupid and overrated as shit.
Yeah.
And that's all I gotta say about that.
Well, you guys heard
Because
it
there
here.
can't be no other way. No, I'm just kidding. I love James Taylor.
So we heard it here. Inspiration by Aaron Blaze send off this podcast. Thank you guys for listening or watching, depending whatever platform you are on. Definitely check out the Backyard Wrestling Nexus, Sportswire Radio. Definitely check out YBW, where Aaron Blaze made his home in Backyard Wrestling. And if you guys enjoyed this episode, definitely hit that follow button, that subscribe button, that like button. Do all the above. And until then, we'll see you guys in the next episode of SmackWire Radio.